Welcome! My name is Debbie and this is Pouring My Art Out for the Lord. And I'm back with another installment of our pink botanical folio. Sorry that I've had a little bit of a gap between videos here. It's kind of been going crazy. My life in many directions this last little while, but I am determined to finish this folio. It may be a little bit spaced out, but we always need a project that kind of is on the back burner, well, at least I do. Sometimes I like to finish a project in a couple of days. Sometimes I like to just, bring something out, work on it for a little bit and put it back kind of thing. So that looks like what's going to happen to this one. So the first, this is kind of a Tim Holtz accordion folio is what he called it, dupe. So I looked at the original folio, I watched some videos, other people have done dupes on this, and I've made it before. I showed you this one last time with my Faith Basics. This was a couple of years ago, I think I made that one. And so I showed you how to make the base of the folio last time, or the first time. And then the second time I just showed you how I covered all the papers. I didn't show you play by play, but kind of walked you through that part. And then the third time, I also made this little swing tag I showed you. And then the third video, I made this window window pocket with glitter and some vellum butterflies in it, and this tag. And that just goes in here into the back. And I thought it was really neat with the glitter. And this, instead of using acetate, I used packing tape. And I got that idea from Natasha from Treasure Books. So that was really fun last time. So this time I'm going to work on another part of the structure of the folio. So in the original Tim Holtz version, he has in the middle here this little thingy that just goes out like this. You can actually I think I folded that wrong. How did I? I must have done this one different. Maybe that's why it's not glued in anywhere, because I did it different. So this little tab will attach to the bottom of your folio. You could actually make it freestanding in a pocket as well. It comes in his folio, it comes freestanding, but you can glue it in. I'm going to glue mine in and then it opens like this, and then you can also access all of the back side, and then you can still use this for making a pocket or whatever. And we've got lots of room on these ones. Don't have a gusset on these flaps, but these have like a 1/2 inch gusset on the sides, so we have lots of room to expand this part here. Probably would have been better to have a little bit of a gusset here, like a 1/4 inch gusset. So if you're kind of good at that and you haven't started yet, you might want to put that, but I think it'll work anyways. I'll just have to be a little bit mindful of how much bulk I put in there, but I think I want it to be this way. So I need my tab on this side, so I have to keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make this today. So let's see how to fold this up. This. Okay, put that aside. So I have another piece of my it's like a photo paper. It's 11 by 17 and quite a thick paper. It's what I used for the base of my folio. So you can do this with whatever you want. You can just use plain cardstock. You can use, even a softer paper would be fine. If you cover it like I'm going to cover it, you'll have that substance. And you could just even use the papers, print on the papers front and back, and then join them, maybe have these two pieces and then these two pieces, have a little tab on one side, join them, papers from the pink botanical kit, and then you don't have to do all of the extra decorating. But so some options, but I'm going to do it like I did the original and like I think Tim Holtz did his. So what I need is I'm going to put this on my grid here, and I'm just going to make a mark at 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then at the other end, I want 2 inches. Like that. And then I think I'm just going to have to use my ruler because my cutter is not going to be able to. In fact, my ruler's not long enough either. I just grabbed another piece of that that cardstock, and I can use that as my ruler here. I'll put it at the top so we can kind of see what I'm doing here. It's still not quite long enough because it's at an angle, but it will work. So I'm just going to trace that. And just scooch it down a little bit more here. One of the things I actually really love about the journal, the junk journal world, which I see a lot of people don't like, is the math part of it. I just love it. I love figuring out how to put different pieces together. I love having a project and just measuring and figuring out angles and all that kind of stuff, and how is that going to fit in there, where do I need to score everything, and how is that going to fit in there. I don't know. It's just a little bit of a weird trait of mine, I guess, but the world needs all kinds, right? So I've seen so many people saying math's not my thing, measuring's not my thing, and I'm just the opposite. I love to measure. I like to sometimes, just wing it too, but I love to measure and to figure out angles and to figure out, that's why I really love Folio so much, I think, because, there's angles and how does this fold and how is this going to work here. That is really my jam. So, so then I'm going to take my piece, and on my 5-inch side, I'm going to score at 1 inch. We have 1 inch extra. So I'm going to put my tab on the large side there. Then all my panels are going to be 5 inches. So I have 1 inch for the tab, and then I'll go over to 5 inches, and that will give me a 4-inch panel. Then I want to add 4 inches to that, so that'll give me 9 inches. So I'll score on there. And I'm just going to flip this around. It's easier if you put the flat side up here, so I just flipped it upside down, and I'll score at 4 inches. So 4, 8, 12, this would be 16 if my board was long enough, plus 1 inch. So this is 11 by 17 paper. I think Tim Holtz on his had actually a 5-panel little diagonal thing. I'm not sure what his panel size was, but this fit perfectly into my folio, so that's what I did. And I like to have even numbers. So then we can just fold this kind of zigzag version like that. And then this will just fit into, hopefully, into our folio like that. So this one, it's glued on this side now. I could change it if I want to, but so that'll pull out like that, or like this, so you can access both sides. I think if I did it this way, so just refolded everything the other way, then I could have my flap at the left, and it would open this way and then this way. I think I actually like it that way better. I think it just makes a little bit more sense to me that way. I'm just going to snip off this little extra piece here, and then the tab won't show when it's all folded up. And there's going to be our little insert. So I'll just put this away again. And, this is a little bit springy because this is a little bit tough paper. So you can reinforce the folds, and as you're working with it, it'll get, it'll work itself out in the end. And then I'm just going to cover this. So I printed some of these panels again from the kit. I had this one actually from last time. I think I used this exact one already in Folio, but that's okay. And then for these ones, I made them print at 120%, so I made the print larger. I generally would not recommend that because it does give you a little bit less crispness in your images and stuff. You can make them smaller and, you know, print 2 to a page, but if you make them bigger, like I think I did these at, well, I know I did them at 120%. So it makes it bigger, but you do lose a little bit of quality. So keep that in mind if you don't want to do that. But the reason I did that is because I wanted to have a 4-inch section of these to put into my folio pieces here. But I told my printer to print borderless, and I thought it was going to print all of this here. So now I still have only 3.5 for my frog. So if I go 4, then I'll come out to here. But that's okay. I'm going to run with that. It'll just have a little bit of this on it, which will look perfectly fine. I think it'll look great. But if you want to play around a little bit with your printer, you can try that. I didn't know mine was going to print like this, but I'm going to work with it. And this one I did a little bit larger too, but this one already had this larger panel. This one, Michelle usually does 3 panels. This one was 2 panels. So this one already is over 4 inches, so that will work. And then this one I expanded again. So it's funny, it expanded the middle part and then it cut off the 2 sides. I'm not sure. I'll have to play with it, but that's okay. And there's another one. So I'm just going to, so you don't have to watch me do all of this, I'm just going to speed through this part. I'll maybe keep the footage in so you can see what I'm doing. What I'm going to do is, like, I'll put glue on one of these pieces. I'm going to use glue stick. I'll use wet glue in the corners. And then instead of measuring this, and, well, let me just show you one panel and then we'll speed it up from there. So I'm just going to put glue stick all over here. I'm using Elmer's Extreme. And then I'll just put, I really tend to over glue things, so if you don't want to glue as much as I do, feel free. So I have glue all over there, and then I have to decide what I want, where I want this panel. You know, I actually like that writing there, but I don't want this this white part, obviously. Or this white part, yeah. So you can do it without trimming it, but it is just a little easier to trim it than you know where you're going. So just trim those off. And then I'm just going to lay this on here. And just stay a tiny bit away from the fold. You don't want it to go right over the fold. You can get pretty close, but just see how you can still see that fold there. And then just, you know, make sure that's adhered well. Flip it over and trim off the excess. It's much easier than trying to measure each piece, especially when there's angles. This is what I do if I'm covering stuff like this. I always do it like this. So there is my first piece covered. Easy. So I'm going to cover the rest of the pieces, and then I will ink the edges, and I'll speed that part up, and then I'll come and show you what it looks like at the end. All right, so I got it covered front and back, inked around the edges. I was able to get my cute little frog in there. I love how it turned out. Love it. So then what I decided to do is I'm going to glue it into this position here so that it goes like that. I love how that frog peeks out there. And this will be showing here. So I was going to cover this, but I thought, why not make it a pocket? So I cut a piece that's 2.5 inches wide. Yeah, 2.5 inches wide by just over 6, just to fit into that spot. And I'm going to use that to cover up that white of that tab. And then I thought, instead of gluing this on the bottom and then this over top, which will make this kind of a bit of a catch for things that you put in the pocket, I'm going to glue this tab right to the back of this pocket. So I'm just going to do that now. I think what I'm going to do actually is use a little bit of a strong tape here, and then I'll put some glue over top of it. And then it'll stick right away and a good solid bond. I won't have to worry about it for drying for quite a while, because this is thick, really thick. It's like it's a photo paper kind of thing. So, you know, that glossy stuff is like a coating, so that adds a thickness and a stiffness to it as well. So let's make sure I get all the edges here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna make sure this is right side up, kind of centered on there. It doesn't have to be perfect actually. Do I want it centered or do I want it? Yeah, I want it centered. I'm just going to put it towards the bottom, but I think actually centered looks good. So just glue that tab on the back there. Then I need to glue for my pocket. So I think I'll do the same thing for my pocket. Well, yeah, I don't normally like doing tape for my pockets because the tape never dries. It always remains sticky and you can catch things on there. Whereas if you just use the glue, then it will eventually dry. So I want it kind of close to my edge, but not over it. Kind of centered here. It's kind of hard to see this one edge here on mine. I think that's about right. So I'm just going to put something heavy on there for a couple of minutes to make sure that glues properly. And then I'll be right back. All right, so while this was drying, I just picked out a couple of little pieces. I had cut out a whole bunch of little ephemera, some fussy cuts, some bigger pieces, some labels. So I've been looking through some of those. So I thought I would make a few little pieces to decorate these pages. So I have a label here. I'm not going to do all of this on camera because I think you probably get bored of watching me glue and attach, but I'll show you one here. So I'm going to just glue that there. This is move it over a little bit because this is going to be a little tuck here for something fairly small. Then I'm going to glue this butterfly piece on 3 sides and make another little tuck, like overlapping tucks. I think it makes it look so interesting. And I'll do this one like that. So then I can have a tuck here and a tuck here, and that one goes all the way up to the top. And then I have a butterfly, which I think I'm just going to put like down here. I'm just going to overlap those 2 pieces. I like to overlap the middle, but this one just doesn't work for that spot. Kind of angle him a little bit for interest. There. So that gives us, you know, just a cute little page. They're really fun to decorate because it's just a small spot. And then, you know, you can do whatever you want. You can also add something else there. You know, maybe something like that. Or probably have a, oh, I've got these little button things too. Ooh, that looks nice. Could do that. I could even do, you could keep going and going with these things, guys. So, you know, a little bit of a interest there. I might do that one, but I might put something behind it first. So I'll just leave it for now. And then on the frog, I thought I, of course, want to see him. So I think I'm just going to put this label down here. This one I'm just going to glue right on. I told you I wasn't going to glue all this on camera, but it's just a couple of things, so I thought I would do it anyway. And then I thought I'd just make a little cluster here. So I've got a label. It's so hard to cover up all this pretty paper because it's so beautiful. Just, you know, you could just leave it like this and it's so beautiful, but layering is what makes things, you know, kind of interesting. And speaking of layering, what I really should be doing is putting little bits of lace and different things on it too, because that adds a lot of interest as well. But so, you know, even just that is perfect. You know, maybe this one I'll put a little piece of lace because that's, you know, a little bit different. And then when this closes up like that, I thought I would do a couple things where I could see things poking out. I even have this one that I thought I could do. I don't want to cover up the froggy there. You know, something like that. I like that actually. Do I have anything else there? No. So let's just glue this here. Just on the bottom, kind of 2/3 on this piece. It's an interesting piece. Durans. So I'll have that poking out like that. So then that, you know, gives us a little more interest because it's poking out. And I inked the back a little bit, so that looks all right. And what else? Something like that looks good, maybe like on the other side, because we don't want it to, you know, we kind of want it to balance with that piece. So some of these I have printed at the back and some I don't. This one I don't, so I'm just going to ink a little bit, call it good. And I'll glue just maybe about half of this one at the bottom. And put that over here. Should we get it straight? That looks good. And then at the back, it's hard to tell if it's straight because your lines at the top are slanted. See how that looks? It looks really cool when you have things just sort of poking out like that. This I could make some sort of a closure, but I don't think I'm going to because, you know, once I get everything in here, you know, if it springs open a little bit, it's actually kind of cool. And it will eventually, you know, kind of flatten out too. So then we need something maybe here. Can use a bigger piece for this part. What do we got here? This is an interesting piece. You know, always kind of close it up and see what's going to peek through and if you like that or not. This, I'm just going to do it. I probably like it underneath there. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, I'm going to ink this one. there, and I can make that a little pocket. Do I want something else on there? Yeah, maybe just like a little label sticking out a bit. That one off the edge, but don't glue on this part of the label because I'm going to make this into a little tuck. Don't have to ink the back of this because you won't see that. So then you could put little scraps of kind of writing paper throughout here in these little tucks with some notes, or you can just, you know, put in some more of these little bits and pieces. I have so many pretty bits and pieces here. That's a nice one too. Okay, so we have that page done. I said I wasn't going to do this on camera, but I guess I am. Just fast forward if you don't want to see all of this. So I could do that poking out, but then I don't like that because that'll hide that. So that one's too big for that spot. That is so pretty. It's so pretty. Looks nice there too. I do it here as a pocket. I could potentially, you know, poke something out of the pocket here. That looks nice having that butterfly up there, doesn't it? So we've got our frog, we've got our butterfly. Okay, let me ink this. And then I'll see what I want to do on the other side. So I want just not too much. On the front this time I want to ink or glue. So fun to play with these things. And these kits are just so, they just blend so well together. You just have so many, you know, the pieces are just perfectly coordinated, but yet have so much interest that they just, you know, blend together so beautifully. Let me see if I have another butterfly that size for the back. I don't immediately see one, but I'm sure I could print one. I just don't know what to use. Everything looks so beautiful. I don't think I want that square on the back. I think I want, so I'm going to see if I can get another butterfly that same size. Okay, so then I could do something else here. Perhaps just, you know, a little bit of interest. That looks actually nice there. This is the thing about the Junk Journal Studio kits, and this Botanical series is just so fabulous. I just love working with it. And this time I'm just working with the pink part because that's the newest kit right now, and I'm on the design team and just want to kind of highlight the pink kit. But you can use all of the Botanical kits. They all blend together perfectly. So I'll be making more projects with the pink kit and blending with the other ones as well. I love that. That looks so nice. Isn't that like cute? Okay, so we got that page. We still are working on that page. Need something on this page. I don't know if I want something peeking. Do I? That looks cute. So if I put that there, on the other side, right here, right? It'll be here. Then put that pink part there. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so I'm gonna just put a little bit of ink on this side. You don't want to watch me, meticulously make these decisions and put things on here. Sometimes I like to watch this from other people, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes, I just want to get to the end and see what they've done and kind of figure out my own way of doing things. And sometimes I really like to just look at their process, and you learn so much from other people's process like that. Okay, I want that right there. So I'm going to put glue on the bottom here, close this up, that'll be attached, and I can pull this up and glue it the rest of the way here. Then I can, is this the one I picked? Or is this the one I picked? This bird, I can't go sideways with the bird. I like that one. I think I will use the other one. Well, that looks nice too. And then I've got, okay, I'm gonna go with butterfly. For this one. So these are perfectly sized together. So, I mean, the pink looks okay on the back too, but that looks good. So let's see what we're looking like here now. So that looks really fun from the front. I like how all of that looks. So then let's just see. So we've got something on that page. This page is a little bit plainer. This page I have to hide the butterfly there. And this side is good. This one I think I'll put a little bit of lace. I could do like a fussy cut or something on this page as well. What have I got? I don't have any really big fussy cuts that I printed out here. There are bigger ones, but I just didn't print them out this time. That looks nice. And then I could do a little label. That one. I actually think I like that one better. Or that. That looks nice. That looks nice. I like the black. Yeah, that one. That's the one. So, ink around the edge of that. These are already inked, not inked. They have a border around them, and the border is not stark white, which I really appreciate, because then you can just use a tiny bit of ink on the edge and you're good to go. If it's white, you kind of have to work a little bit harder to get it to look, not so white. But Michelle has thought of everything. She just makes everything so easy for us to work with. And her kits are just, because they're all vintage, not, modern AI, and, there's a place for that, but I really appreciate the vintage flavor of her kits. Okay, so that page is done, that page is done, this page is good. This page I need something on the back. This page I need a little piece of lace. So let me grab a couple of things and I'll finish this off. All right, I just finished up our little insert here. So I'll show you what that looks like. So we go inside here, it's still kind of springy, which is kind of cool. I don't know, I don't mind that. It will probably eventually get a little flatter. So here's our little waterfall of elements there. On the back of this butterfly, I decided to, I inked it with a little bit of pink ink so it didn't stand out as white. Put a little bit of lace on it, and then I covered it partially with this flower and a little label, and I think that looks really nice for the back. I think I did all of that on camera. And then on the other side, I just did a little piece of lace at the bottom. I decided not to, you know, I could put another fussy cut and stuff there, but there's just so much going on that I thought, you know, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a quieter page. I've got tucks to put little bits and pieces in still. There's a tuck there as well. So that all goes like that. And then that can go to the side. I guess I have to make sure that this is, you know, if it springs out, it's not going to turn well. So you have to kind of tuck it in there. And then for this pocket, I decided to make just a little tag. I again used that same paper I've been using for the base of the folio, covered it on both sides. This side I just put a simple label and stamped tag number on there. And this side I put a piece of lace because that pokes out here, and a little tiny collage. This was just some papers that I had left over from what I was covering that little piece with. You could actually put something here as well. You can keep going and going and going, guys. You need something a little bit bigger. I think actually one of these ones would be the ticket. Yep. Even a couple, like I could do like a series of 3. I actually really like that. I think that's what I will do. So that's the end of this little insert here. And I'll be back in a few days to show you the next step. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet, but we've got lots of decorating. These little folios can really pack a punch. There's a lot of stuff that you can stick in here. So I'll be back in a few days to show you the next step. Blessings and thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.